morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie. This is Luke. Isn't he cute? And I'd like to welcome you to another weekend of Clarinets, Cats, and Coffee. So in today's video, I am going to give you guys a few tips on how to start softly in the upper register, the clarion register. It's a pretty big challenge. A few weeks ago, after I posted my most recent video on tips for just sounding good in the clarion register, I got a couple of messages from viewers and a message from a patron asking about some tips on how to start high notes at a soft dynamic. And so I thought right now would be a great time to do that. Before we do that, I just want to thank all my patrons for supporting my channel, and if you like my content, please consider becoming a patron. You can join for as little as $3 a month, or you can join one of the higher tiers. I've got master classes, monthly coffee chats, all kinds of different options for Patreon, so anything you're willing to do to help out my channel would be much appreciated. So thank you all so much for supporting me. Alright, so at the beginning of this video, I played through an excerpt of one of my favorite sonatas, the Poulenc Sonata for clarinet and piano, and one of the challenges in that piece is just starting it. Like, the very first note is really hard, and like, I'm not gonna lie, I did take a couple of different takes of the beginning because it was just, you know, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do a video to teach others how to sound good, I better make sure that I sound at least halfway decent on it, right? So I did a couple of takes of that excerpt just to make sure that I liked it enough to share with you guys. That being said, it kind of forced me to really think about the steps I go through mentally to make sure that I actually start with a reliable, clear, beautiful sound, but at a softer dynamic. And so I really just have three big general tips to share with you guys. So the first one is to make sure that you set your embouchure before you start. I think a lot of us just think we can just grab our instrument and put it together and just start playing, and if we're not mindful about what we do before we even start to play, we can have a lot of inconsistency in our sound. So me, like, what I personally do is I try to think about making sure that everything is just kind of suctioned in before I start, before I even take a breath in. So that's the first thing, is to just make sure your embouchure is ready to go before you start. Now the second big thing is, and I think a lot of us don't do this because we kind of tense up and we kind of worry about it, make sure you're actually relaxed before you start playing, before you even take a breath in. Just take a breath and relax. And a lot of problems with starting soft actually comes out when we play loud. We just don't realize because we're blowing so hard, right? But a lot of issues can come out, and tension in the chest and the throat can really kind of become apparent when we try to start notes very softly. Okay, so set the embouchure, take a nice deep breath. Relax the shoulders, the upper body, make sure we have good posture. Okay, that's good. Now, you want to make sure that you take a deep breath in, and a very deep, relaxed breath in. I'm a big believer that we have to make sure that we take just as much air in for soft playing as we do for loud playing. I know some people may not agree with that, but my thought is that if I can take a big, relaxed breath in, then I can exhale with a nice, relaxed breath out, and actually use the weight of my body to help start the note without pushing the sound, if that makes sense. And then obviously once the note is started, you have to use air support to keep the wind blowing. But if you kind of use your body as a tool to help facilitate a very relaxed airflow at the beginning, at least, then your life will be so much easier. So we set our embouchure, we relax, We take a deep breath in from the belly. I like to think of the word home in reverse. And one of the important parts of breathing in is making sure you never actually hold your breath once you get to the top. And holding your breath can come in a few different forms, right? You can hold it with your throat like that. You can hold it back by just keeping everything completely expanded, but that you have like tension built up in the throat, right? So make sure you don't hold your breath. Once you're completely full of air, you gotta let it out. And this is why it's very important to make sure our embouchure is set before we play. We're ready to go. We can't just up and go and start playing, because that's gonna cause problems, right? So we set our embouchure, we relax, we take a nice deep relaxed breath in. And then we exhale into the instrument. And so if you do all of the previous steps correctly, then you should be able to start a note very quietly and very beautifully. I know this is a lot to take in right now, so if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. This is something that we have to really spend a lot of time doing, and you know, you're not gonna get it in like, you know, 30 seconds. Like, oh, well, you have to do it a lot and really be mindful of what you're trying to do, so that you can really kind of imprint what that feels like into your muscle memory. So then eventually you won't have to think too hard about it. You'll just be mindful of what you're doing rather than actively, consciously thinking about it, if that makes sense. So anyway, I know also there are a lot of teachers who watch my videos too, so I would love for you guys to also share some of your tips below. I really just skimmed the surface of a lot of concepts, and I've really enjoyed some of the insightful comments that have been posted here, so please feel free to share your 2 cents, what you do, what your kind of routine is before you start a passage such as the beginning of the second movement of the Poulenc Sonata. All right, so thank you all so much for watching. I really hope these tips help. Let me know if you guys start to dive into the Poulenc Sonata here. I'm not going to do a whole big long series like I did for the Weber Concertino, but I just love that piece. It's a lot of fun. So have a wonderful weekend, have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you guys next Saturday for another video in Clarinets, Cats, and Coffee. And as always, happy practicing. Luca's going to give you some tips on how to make your high register sound good when you start soft. Isn't that right? Did you just hear him snort? That was really cute.